our lesson. Okay, switch off your mind. There will be some disturbance once your mind is on. Okay, let's try to find out where do we stop. Okay, we stop after verses number 72 is the karma consists of the physical, verbal, and mental, as well as the good, the bad, and the neutral. The extinction of karma can be compared to seed of perfuming. No karma will be lost in hundreds and thousands of kappa. Sentient beings experience birth and death in accordance with their karma, cannot escape from the three realms. Okay, okay, we are here. Let's take a look. We are in the chapter 3. We are in the chapter 4. Okay, it is about the three vehicle. Okay, let's take a look. So this is the section 1. Then go to section 2. Is the stages of practice in the three vehicle. Number 1 is generally the Shravaka practitioners are the main audience of the three vehicle. Then second is a detailed explanation on the different aspect of this practitioner. So then number 3rd one is the concluding reminder that all practicing the path aim at the liberation. So okay, we go to the page number 2nd. I think we are in the 2nd page. Training. Okay, not yet. All right. So we are in the noble truth of the accumulation of the suffering. They talk about the karma. Once they talk about the karma, there will be noble truth of accumulation of the suffering. Okay. Well, I think today we will go. We are going to finish the noble truth of accumulation of karma. Then we are today we are able to cover the noble truth of the cessation of suffering and the noble truth of the path to cessation of the suffering. In the previous lessons, we mentioned that number first one, karma could be consist of different category. First is the physical, verbal, or mental. All right. Then secondly, the karma also could be categorized according to the let's see it could be good, bad, and neutral. All right. And this type of categorizations is associated with the meditation. Okay. Then lastly, we will go to the analogies that the karma is like a seed, all right, and the seed have potential to grow. But if once the condition is available, but if let's say you remove the condition, it couldn't be growth anymore. So that is the analogies we use to explain the karma. Now we go to the next paragraph. According to the profound meaning, okay, Elena, please read it out.
From actual existence to another phenomenon. It can be said that becoming extinct or having passed away is not synonymous with non-existence, for karma still exists. Of course, the karma that has passed away is different from that which exists now. When matter is transformed from substance into energy, for example, it is definitely not the case that it is non-existent. It can no longer be confined to the material concepts of volume, substance, and resistance. However, likewise, after the instantaneous disappearance of karmic forces, it still exists. Of course, it does not exist right now, but when it encounters the union of certain causes and conditions, it will bring about rewards or retribution, which is just how energy transforms back to matter. If certain causes and conditions do not unite, the karmic force will remain forever. It will not be lost in hundreds, thousands, or innumerable kappas. It will still be able to bring about effects. Sentient beings experiencing the retribution of birth and death in accordance with their particular karma transmigrate between the 5 destinies for life after life. Because this movement is triggered and nurtured by afflictions, No matter how good or lofty the karma of sentient beings may be, they cannot escape from the three realms, that is, the three worlds for the activities of sentient beings, the realms of desire, form, and formlessness. In these three realms, birth and death continue forever. The goal of the world transcending dharma of the three vehicles is to extinguish the fundamental causes of birth and death, so as to avoid being bound by them in the three realms ever again. Only through this can one achieve the Buddha Dharma's goal of great emancipation.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so in this few paragraph, okay, what is the mention is regards, if let's say we create the karma, okay, basically the karma will exist. I mean, now once there's a condition, karma will ripen. But if let's say without the condition, the karma will still exist, maybe for the, how to say, it can last long in the future for many, many kappas. Okay, a clear example, have you ever heard about that Moggallana? Moggallana is the great disciple in Buddha time, and he is famous for his psychic. He is the psychic number one. Okay, but do you know that even though Moggallana is very good in psychic, but he died for breaking his head by the theft. Because the thief go to theft his money, all right? He tried to run by using the psychic. But there was once he couldn't, he failed to perform the psychic. The reason is once he tried to perform to the psychic, the samadhi disappeared due to the five hindrances. Why? Because it's about 500 years ago, all right? Okay, it's very, very long time ago, okay? The Mongalana was just a normal layman, and he collaborated with his wife to kill his parents, okay? Because at that time, his wife doesn't like his parent, didn't like his parent. So they make a plot, all right, and brought them to the forest and claimed that Mongalana claimed that it's a robber, it's a robber and tried to kill the parent. Their parents believe since they are blind, yeah, they were blind, okay. Then, but instead of just running away, they keep on ask Mongalana, "Oh, my son, please run away. My son, please run away. There is a robbery there. Okay, there's a robber there." Well, at that particular time, Mongalana realized that he is wrong and he found guilty. Okay, so instead of killing his parent, he just let his parent be in forest and go back. Okay, so this is the karma. We call it unaccomplished karma. And this karma, even though, okay, if let's say the then Mongalana really kills the parent, I mean, the karma is strong enough to pull him to the hell immediately, you know. At that particular life, the karma is strong to be like that. But since Mongalana didn't kill his parent, we call it unaccomplished karma. But the karma is ripened after 500 years when he met the thief. Okay, and since the affinity is already arisen, so he failed to go into the psychic, and the head broken for die. So after he died, then he using his psychic to recover back and go to the Buddha and bound to the Buddha, said that, "Sorry, Shakyamuni, I have to go first." Because Mongalana is famous for the best disciple to Buddha to bring for those who prefer psychics to into the Buddhism. But he can't play the role anymore, cannot take care with the rest of the disciple and devotee. So he says sorry, then he go to the Nibbana. In the ancient times, don't know why, if let's say you go to the Nibbana, before your master, you have to inform first. I don't know whether it's a Buddhism culture or not. Usually, if you should go to enter the Nirvana just after your master, but not before them. If you before them, you have to say something. You have to say something to them. So this is what happened. So meaning to say that this unaccomplished karma, as what the text mentioned, it is exists forever. The karma exists forever. Okay, and this karma will bring us for reincarnation. I mean, to the different realm. Well, this is the reason why for Buddhists, Shakyamuni encouraged us, you have to extinguish the karma effect in order for the nirvana. If without, if they let the karma just stay, create the karma, and let the karma keep on just accomplish, well, finally, you just keep on reincarnating in three realm, and also the suffering is endless. Okay, so this is text. But one question I want to ask: do you feel it is quite terrible or not? I mean, do you feel terrible? The karma exists even in our future kappa. It is very terrible. Is it sounds terrible? Sally, feel that is it sounds terrible? Terrible. On the mic to you.
Actually, this is, shall I say, you have to go through if you have done it.
So, okay. So do you feel terrible for it?
No.
Not terrible, okay.
Terrible because we did the thing we have to answer to it.
Okay.
Clears it off, you see.
Okay. What I say it is terrible. If let's say you chant Di Zhang Jing, the Siddhikapa Sutra, okay. According to Siddhikapa, also just mention a sentence that whatever in our mind, they are karma. Most of the Mahayanist Buddhism, they got frightened. You know? Once they put this, it seems that karma again, and the karma mutual, exists for the future, many kappa. So, Mr. Leong, how do you think it's a Theravada mindset? They are hanging there, all right. So, Elena, do you feel it's a terrible or
How come karma follows us and we are not aware of the karma? I mean, of course, Sifu to explain.
Yes, okay.
And like for this question is terrible, yes, you still got to face the consequences of what you have done before. But then on the other hand, what wants to come will come lah. You know what is so terrible about that, you see?
Yeah. Well, I think both of your attitude is correct, but we can add in one more thing is karma, not just the bad, there can be the good one. Meaning
Yeah.
to say that not all the bad karma is bad, it's waiting us in the future, but there's a good karma also. And the good karma will counter-react with the bad karma. For example, now COVID-19, all right. The whole world, everybody suffering, lockdown in the house, all right. But you see, this is all we call it collective karma. But you see, within the collective karma, there will be some individual karma. You see, like Chinese, we compare us, Chinese and the Malay, we have we have the habitual saving rather than the Malay, okay? So we can store more food, okay? And Chinese usually the children less, right? One or two, meaning to say that they have more spacious, they have more space and room to isolation for quarantine if you say they're infected. But Malay, they have 5, 6 children, you see or not? So meaning to say that I think maybe we all also create some good karma. It makes us, even though we are in lockdown, but we enjoy at the same time also. You get what? Am I right? No, I mean we enjoy more spacious. We have a lot of choice of the food. We can decide what I want to eat morning, what I want to eat in the evening. Am I right? We have the freedom to choose, right? But no, I think somebody they're very poor, and maybe some foreign labor they have nothing to eat. You see, so that's what I mean. Even though in the collective karma itself, we have done some good deeds, so we enjoy the individual good karma. So that's what you say. Just let it come, nothing to get frightened. I think it is correct. Am I right? See, so meaning to say that we are not worried for the future karma. As long as present we do the good karma will counteract the effect of the bad karma. So that is the proper attitude. So, Mr. Leong, your Wi-Fi is unstable. Okay, right? Okay. Can you speak something now, Mr. Leong?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, very good. So, I want to let you test. Can you explain a little bit? Are you frightened for the karma which exists in the future? The karma effect will be prolonged. I mean, for the future, even though multi kappa very long time, it is terrible for you. They cannot talk. Their line is very bad today. So Sally,
I think the internet line, just like it happened to me
yeah, you're right.
yesterday. Yeah.
All right, okay, never mind.
You cannot hear.
Today my line is a bit more stable. Yesterday was keep cut.
It's very good today.
Oh,
Yesterday was very bad.
yeah, today Elena line is very good, very stable. The picture and also no more breaking and no more interruption. Okay, never mind. We continue. Maybe you can let Mr. Leong they go through the YouTube. Okay, so we continue. So this is okay. This is I mean we already discussed all related to the headline point. You notice that everything is already here. So we just continue the 3 evil roots. Okay. They're still freezing. Am I right? Do you see them freezing there? Mr. Silong is freezing now.
Freeze.
Yeah, they're freezing already.
Yeah, they're freeze.
They're freezing. So please, whose turn to read? Okay, please. The 3 evil roots, Sally.
There they are back.
They
Welcome back,
are
Mr. Leong.
unfreeze already. Okay, Mr. Leong, since you are unfreeze, can you please read through it? The 3 evil roots, please.
3 evil roots. The afflictions, desire, anger, and ignorance.
Freeze again. So Sally, better you read. All right. Okay.
Afflictions, desire, anger, and ignorance are the roots of all evil. Ignorance is like being drunk and confused. The fault of anger is serious and that of greed is deep. Bad factors and evil portions of the mind, whether they are intellectual, emotional, or volitional, are all incorrect and inappropriate. They cause us to be agitated and annoyed. That is that which cause instability, disharmony, and uneasiness is called an affliction. Afflictions create all kinds of karma leading to future suffering. Afflictions are very complex, but the three of them, desire, anger, and ignorance, are the causes of all evil.
Okay. Finish, Mr. Liang. You come back. Okay, okay. You're so funny today. All right, okay. So we let's continue calling them roots. Okay.
Calling
Okay,
them.
sorry. Okay, Mr. Leong. Okay, today your line is quite bad. You are from unfreeze to freezing and from freezing to unfreeze. Okay, never mind. Okay, you just go through the recording later on. Okay, let's Sally just continue, please. Okay.
Okay. Calling them roots means that all afflictions can be divided into the three broad categories of desire, anger, and ignorance. All other afflictions are simply the branches and divisions of all these three. For example, craving, defilement, covetousness, attachments, stinginess, fraudulence, arrogance, restlessness, etc. are the forms of desire. Fury, hatred, annoyance, jealousy, etc. are the forms of anger. False view, doubts, unbelief, stupor, forgetfulness, non-discernment, etc. are the forms of ignorance. All sentient beings have afflictions, but each has different inclinations. People who have certain category of afflictions will have a corresponding personality. For instance, there are people with desirous, anger, or ignorance personality. People who do not have a particular inclination toward any one of the three categories have personalities that are equally made up of all three. As to a more detailed classification, there are also 19 types of personality.
Okay.
The afflictions are too numerous to explain here in detail. The three evil roots will suffice as illustration. Ignorance is stupidity. It is also called a state of unenlightenment, of not knowing anything about the practical aspects or the principles of reality. This is not to say that one does not know anything. On the contrary, one has a certain kind of knowledge, but it is wrong, distorted. It seems to be correct, but it's really incorrect. It's like being drunk and confused. Thus, one takes an affirmative as negative and negative as affirmative. The existence of the existence to be non-existent and non-existent to be existent. One says that one should not laughs at what one should not, cries when one should not, and does what one should not. Confusion, distortion, suspicion are such forms of ignorance. These afflictions are the most difficult to treat completely. As for what is not known, this includes not knowing about good and evil, not knowing about cause and effect, not knowing about karma and result, not knowing about ordinary people and sages, not knowing about practical aspects and principles. As for what is as for what is known, one knows the impermanence as permanent, unhappiness as happiness, the impure as the pure, the non-existence of self as self. One either has doubts about practical aspects or principles of reality, or has ignorance views about them.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so let's try to explain this. Okay, so now we are in the three roots: greedy, anger, and stupidity. Okay, so we call it ignorance. It is quite common that we tell people that the origin of all the defilement is from the three roots. Three root is the most, how to say, this is the most broad categorization. This is the most, how to say, it can include many things. Okay, but there's a lot of, how should I put it? This three definition is very great. It can include many things, and there will be a lot of branches come out from this three category of the definition. All right. Well, usually we have different people have a different inclinations. Okay. Certain people, if their mind they used to right is greedy, they are considered as a greedy type people. If the person used to angry, they are considered anger type people. If the people always in the ignorance, they are considered the ignorance people. Now, first, let us try to explain the ignorance. Ignorance is the terminology which is so hardly to be understandable and hardly to describe. But we can see it in a more simple way, all right, in a more easy way. Nowadays, okay, once we talk about ignorance, the ignorance doesn't mean you know nothing, but meaning to say that you know something which is wrong. This is the ignorance, all right. Okay, what is the example? Okay, according to the text, it mentioned that we always deem the unhappiness become happy, the unpurified become the purified. Okay, a non-self become self, and this is our wrong perception. Okay, for example, okay, now, okay, we feel joy, right? Most of the time we have the feeling, we feel joy, okay, we feel suffer, okay, and also sometimes we feel neutral. But for us, usually, once the joy appears, we have the wrong perception that we hope that the joy should be permanent also. And once we feel the suffering, we hope the suffering gone as soon as possible. This is actually a wrong view. If let's say one day, once we attain the samadhi, and from the samadhi, we go to freeze all the phenomena and try to analyze it, we notice that actually, no matter what type of the feeling is it, it will gone. It will gone. Okay. This is the first thing. Second, we used to notice that we are very clean. Okay. We are very clean. Okay. We are very pure. Actually, our body is not pure. Okay. If you have a power of samadhi, you go in detail to check the whole body. Each one of our cell, each one of our organ, we know that it's very filthy. It's very dirty actually. All right. And we used to feel that the existence of I is so real and so true. But actually, if you're using the power of samadhi and go to analyze yourself, we are formed by a lot of particles, no matter in materiality or mentality. Did you get it? So that is the truth. But now, in our present situation, we used to see ourselves in the wrong perception. That's what I say, we see the thing opposite. That's why we call it ignorance. Pali, they use the avijja, but actually in Mandarin or Pali, it can describe even in a better way. What does mean ignorance? Avijja, meaning to say that you are not in the bright situation. Okay, we are all not in the bright situation. Our mind is in the delusion. Our mind is in a dark situation. Okay, but nowadays they integrate and incorporate the meditation skills to the explanation, make you more easy. Do you remember? Okay, Elena and also Sally. Once you meditate, you can enjoy the nimitta, right? There will be the light appeared. There's two types of the light. One type is the light of the samadhi. Second is the light of the wisdom. Both are light, but both are different. Why? Because they have a different target. If let's say you are observed on your anapanasati, your breathing, okay, or you empty your mind, okay, this is the method we call it samadhi. The light appears with the light of the samadhi. Okay. But once you use the light of samadhi to go to observe the five aggregate throughout our body, it turns to become the light of the wisdom. And the light of the wisdom, once you're in the light of wisdom, you used to see the impermanence in your mentality and materiality and mentality. You will see it in the situation that rise and fall, rise and fall, rise and fall. We need to say that if Sally, you possess the skills of Vipassana, okay, you're using your light of samadhi to see yourself and to observe earth. You will no more see yourself as Sally. You will no more see Elena. What you see through yourself and through Elena, just a group of particles, no matter its materiality or mentality, which is always rise and fall, rise and fall. You need to say that at this time, you already break all the wrong view, all the perception. You see the truth. That's the truth it means. So you get it? Well, the texts mentioned just now, usually you can hardly understand in such a manner. Nowadays, we have to integrate the experience of meditations to make people more understand. So that's we so-called it ignorance. So opposite of ignorance is wisdom. So we go through the text, see anything I omit. Okay, let's take a look. Now, according to here, it says, let's see. You see, okay. Why affliction? Because it leads to the future suffering. Okay, so we call it roots. Why? Because they are very broad category. All right. So people have a different inclination and cause different personalities. There's a 19 type of personality, and there is a footnote. Can you please check for me? What is the footnote number 10? What sutra is it? Okay, on the mic to you all, you can read it out once you discover it. Oh yes, okay. Yeah, 修行到地境, I got it. Is Elena correct, Mr. Leung? 修行到地境? You don't know. You don't have the book. 不知道. Okay, Elena, do you get the same footnote? 修行到地境? Yeah, 修行到地境. Okay.
Sally, you get the notes.
You get that? Okay, So congratulations for discovering the notes, but sorry for saying that it is untranslated in Mandarin. Okay, 修行到地境 is a sutra which is popular in Xinjiang. I don't know whether you realize or not. Actually, about the 1st century, the center of the Mahayana is around Xinjiang, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. Have you ever heard about that, Elena? It's about 1st century. Actually, Buddhism is flourishing at that area, but not China. That is, we call it the center of Mahayana. Is that place. Yeah. So the 修行到地境, according to the author, I think it is partial. It is partial origin from the Buddha saying, and partial add up is add up by the author. So 修行到地境 you can feel the elements are from the Middle East. It's very strong feeling from the Middle East. 修行到地境. But anyway, for all this, let's take a look. See, once we have a very small about this one, fury, hatred, different form of the desires, stinginess, fraudulent, all this. You are encouraged to go through the Buddhism psychology, which is Abhidhamma. So if after finish this, you found that you still have time and interested in it, you're welcome to go through the Buddhism psychology. Buddhism psychology, Abhidhamma, is very expert to explain the defilement with the minor defilement, which is branch out from the broad category. Mr. Leung, do you want to say something? No need. If you want to say, you raise your hand. I on the mic for you to say. Okay. let's continue. Okay, so let's go through the text. So according to here, you say, okay, now you see, ignorance means what? It's a wrong, it's a distorted view, you see. Ignorance doesn't mean you know nothing, but you know something which is wrong, the wrongful view, okay? So this is the example, just like I mentioned, you see. Unhappiness as happiness, impure as a pure, non-existence of the self, limits as existent. And one more, okay, this is another part I didn't explain how. Ignorance includes the unknown of present life, present life, future life, and the past life. Okay. Well, now you and I, we know that there's a present life, future life, and the past life, but we are still considered ignorant. Guess what? Sally? Okay, Mr. Leong, you guess what? Why we are knowing, but according to the definition, we are still in ignorant. Why? Explain. You can't hear me. You can't. Okay.
You're not here.
Can I hear? All right. The line is so bad. So Sally, can you try to explain? Sally?
He also was a bit. Some here, some there. Cannot really hear what you say.
Cannot really hear what I say. My question is that, I posed the question that you and I, we know there is a present life, future life, and the past life. But we are still considered ignorant. Why? Elena, you think why?
We haven't diminished the cycle of death and rebirth.
No. Okay, maybe the answer is we know it, but literally. We are knowing by the knowledge that, oh, there's a future life, there's a past life. We don't understand it through our direct knowledge. Meaning to say that if you open your third eye, okay, when you possess the samadhi, you open your third eye, you can really experience it. You can really see the future life and the present life, but not by the knowledge. That will be considered ignorant. That will be considered wisdom. Same only, the karma. We understand the karma, but literally only, not direct not with the direct knowledge. You see, okay, literally only. Then also, we don't really understand there's a sage and also there's a mandate, people like you and I. But literally we understand only. We not truly understand. So we are considered as ignorant. Okay, but if let's say you really know it by the wisdom, okay, you use the samadhi power to see through it, go through it, that will be called the real wisdom. Okay, let's continue. Okay, anger is aversion. Okay, please, whose turn to read? Elena turns right. Please.
Okay. Anger is aversion that comes from being dissatisfied with conditions. If expressed, it is described as fury, disputation, harmfulness, anger, and anger. If stored in the mind, it is described as resentment, hatred, and jealousy. These faults are very serious. Not only are bad things done because of them, but also good deeds may be destroyed because of one's lack of tolerance, perhaps by a single angry thought. From the past to the present, each of us has been in close relationship with all other sentient beings. One should therefore have compassion without anger and harmfulness in order to be of benefit to oneself and not harm others. Being harmonious with others benefit both oneself and others. The affliction of anger is just the opposite of this harmony. It is the source of all extremely violent and wicked crimes. As Sutra says, the rise of an angry thought can open 80,000 doors to obstacles. It also says that anger is like a fire that burns up all good moods. Greed is the attachment to oneself and to all that is related to oneself. One broods over the past, is attached to the present, and desirous of the future. Although greed is not as serious as the fire of anger, it penetrates thoroughly like water. This fault is very deep. Greedy desire is primarily self-love that is concerned with the present and the future. With regard to others, for example, this is love for one's parents, children, siblings, and friends. With regards to things, it is love for one's wealth, business, scholarship, and fame. Although one can do many good deeds through greed, they are only partially good because they are based on the defiling love of the self. Sometimes such love can turn into anger towards others, for anger is the other side of love. Loving to an extreme can become the utmost hatred sometimes. According to the Buddha Dharma, this is also the way people are. It is also characteristic of this selfish love, which is attached to everything that is affected by change and therefore causes suffering. So the Buddha says, when love arises, suffering arises.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, now we go to the second root, which is anger. All right. Okay, anger, it defines that a feeling of resentment once we encounter the situation which go against with our view. Like, So we call it as anger. Okay, basically anger, everybody know lah. We are quite old to understand this. Okay, but okay, for anger itself, I think it is a little bit complicated. That once we apply in our day, we all know that anger is not good. Okay, anger can burn all the merits. Okay, anger is the source of the violence. Okay, but okay, we all know this. Okay, okay, firstly, okay, in order to solve the issue of anger, to avoid the anger arise in our mind, the method we use is the metta bhavana. Okay, I think we heard about that. Metta bhavana is the meditation method which can curb the anger elements effectively. All right. Why? The reason is within the metta bhavana, the principle behind is see the good things of somebody. See the good things of somebody. The person with the anger, with the strong anger element, they used to criticize things, and they used to see the negativity of somebody or something. In order to change the character or neutralize the character, you have to see the good point of something to balance the character. Anyway, even though we said that anger is not good, but usually anger people, once they have been purified, they are considered intelligent people. Why? Because for intelligent people, they manage to see the real defect in our five aggregate, which is impermanence, which is keep on changing, which is non-self. But once the intelligent people unpurified, they are considered anger people. They will see the disadvantage. Maybe they will see this is not good, that is not good, that is not good. In conventional truth, it is acceptable in the unconventional, in the conventional truth. For example, this is very subjective, right? For example, okay, maybe Sally, you see this is beautiful. Elena, see this is ugly. Okay, well, usually we say that we can't. We can't comment who is right or wrong actually. Okay, but it's just because you have a different perception over it. For you, you are highly demand. Okay, you don't see this beautiful because you have ever seen the thing better than. So you say, oh, this is ugly. But maybe for Sally, this is the first and this is the ever Tupperware you see it before. So for you, this is the very most beautiful one. You get it or not? Okay. Well, for the anger type people, they used to use the good one to combat the bad one, and they will know this is ugly. Okay. But maybe for the greedy type people, they will use the worst case to compare with the present case. So they used to see, oh, this is very good, this is beautiful. This is the perception. This is how the character will influence our character. But one thing is, sometimes maybe we want to be more compassionate, to be more tolerant in order to make everybody happy, but it might not be totally right in the real life. The reason is, once you try to keep the discipline as the leader, you have to be firm. And usually the firm will let people feel the anger elements, and the anger element is more authoritative and also more powerful in control and in the leadership. You have to be like this. You know what I mean? Sometimes we want to be compassionate, but I don't think compassionate is very, it's very effective in leading or in control. Because some people will define you as very soft, they might take advantage over you. So sometimes, even though we learn the Buddhism, okay, you are getting more and more compassionate. But once you take disciplinary action, you have to be strong and let people know that, oh, you are very firm, and then they won't take advantage over us. Okay, get it? Okay, so this is important. Sometimes Buddhists used to confuse the applications in the daily life, especially in the management. Okay, so this we so-call it as anger. All right. Then the last one is the greedy. A greedy opposite, they used to see the good things. Okay, they used to attach. Okay, if you compare greedy with the anger, usually anger, you one is, okay, people used to comment that greedy is, it's not, how to say, it's not visible compared with the anger. Once we are angry, we can feel very obvious, right? Blood circulating, okay, enhance, then the whole face turn red, okay, the breath, okay, increase, okay, the heartbeat increase, everything you can see easily. But greedy is even more dangerous. Why? Because people they are not realized that once they are indulging. Am I right? You see or not? Usually greedy is so subtle. Once we enjoy the music, once we enjoy the food, actually, once the greedy is starting to increase and growing in our mind, but we don't realize it. That's why we mentioned that greedy is even more dangerous. And especially we have love to the people, okay, our relative, our friend, okay, we notice that this is normal, right? It should be the responsible for the mother, love the children, all right? But we have to be careful that sometimes the attachment will be integrated with the love. You won't realize it. You will only realize once when, okay, if let's say one day, okay, your son, okay, 10 years old, you are responsible, you are so responsible, and you're really taking good care of him. 20 age, you do the same. 30 years old, do the same. And 40 years old, you do the same. You think the attachment has been integrated into the love? You think so? You deem that you love your child. Who is you love your child who is now 40 years old as the way you love him as 10 years old. Must be something wrong, right? Why? Because the attachment is already in the love. It's already integrated with the love and without realization. So this is what the text mentioned. We have to be careful once the relationship between the human. Okay, let's go through the text. See what facts I forget. Oh yes, and one more thing. Okay, according to the text, it mentioned that greedy and anger usually together. Once we love certain thing very much, and the person or the thing we love have been disappeared, we tend to be angry. Once we possess something, we are frightening, it disappears. You see, all the emotion is surrounding the greedy. So this is the reason why greedy is a very, how to say, it's quite a major cause for many defilement actually. So let's go through to the text. Okay, let's take a look. See, see any point I forget. Okay, so we destroy the thing, all right. We have to be compassionate. You see here, all right. The source of the violence, okay. And the greedy is the attachment. Yes, one more point. Greedy could be attached to ourselves and it can be related to oneself. Basically, it is difficult to realize that how come we say we are attached to ourselves. Okay, we can know, okay. Sally, in this COVID-19 cases, do you realize that you attach to yourself in certain circumstances? Okay, let me on the mic for you. Yes, please.
COVID-19 attachment to oneself.
You do realize that. How about Elena? Do you notice something in certain scenario, our attachment to ourselves will unfold in this scenario? Okay, let me on the mic for you to speak, please.
I think it doesn't affect me so much because I still do every day.
Okay, you see, for example, okay, there's a rising fund. There are a lot of rising fund program in the newspaper, right? Many people need the money. Our country need the money, all right. Then the NGO need the money. Maybe old folks, and now even the zoo negara also need the money. You see, okay. But we realize that if we have excessive of money, I think the first we must keep ourselves first, right? It's very logic. Second, maybe we keep for our family. There should be the alternative. And the third, I still have excessive that I will think for the other people. Okay, well, it sounds very logic. We keep everything for ourselves. It sounds logic actually, but also, I mean, this is the, how to say, this is the manifestations of the self-attachment in other way actually. Why? Because I discovered some circumstances, especially for those who are very contributable, and they really can sacrifice, and they really can prioritize the country, or I mean, they are willing to prioritize the country, and they I mean they really manage to donate the thing to the country, but don't keep for themselves. It really happened. It really happened. Okay, so I mean, from these circumstances, we notice that we are protecting ourselves, but actually, in other ways, we will see that very subtle. We also the attachment to the self make us have to protect ourselves first, and from the attachment to ourselves, protect ourselves, then we protect our family secondly. So meaning to say that sometimes the love is necessary. You see, the love is necessary. But I mean, I think for the sages, or maybe some for particular people, they are really can prioritize the country, meaning to say that their self-attachment is not that strong if compared with us. Okay, next we go to see other. With regards to other, for example, love for the parents, children. Okay, we have gone through this. Okay, so you see, usually the love will mix together. Okay. Then the love will turn to become angry. Okay, so that is the verses. Okay. Well, any question for this? Delusion, anger, and the greedy? Do you feel any conflict or paradox or any paradoxical situations, dharma with our reality? For Sally, it's nothing. Everything is fine and everything is good.
No, actually, I wanted to ask one question.
Okay.
How does Metta Bhavana help us, and how do you do it?
Again?
Metta Bhavana. Metta Bhavana.
Metta Bhavana. How does Metta Bhavana help us?
How you see, this one is for meditation. But how does it help us? What are we supposed to do?
Oh, okay. Well, in Metta Bhavana, we are going to spread our love, express our love to the different target. Namely, firstly for ourselves. Second is our close relative. The third one is the neutrality, the person who is in neutrality, and the fourth is our enemy. The worry is how to radiate the compassionate is through the sentence. Usually the sentence we use is, may you be happy, may you relieve from suffering, something like that. Okay. So in the beginning, you have to bless yourself first. May I happy, may I be happy, may I relieve from suffering, and you will feel you will enjoy once you bless yourself. If the joy arises, please prolong it. Okay. Once you manage to prolong the joy, then you bring the joy to the second target, who is our close relative. It can be your parents, it can be your other people's, your good friend. Okay. Then you also use the same sentence. You have to imagine the people appeared. Okay. May you be free from suffering. May you be happy. You try to bring radiate your joy to him, and the joy is carried forward from the previous. Is from yourself. Okay. And the close relative, usually we target 3 people. Avoid opposite sex. Avoid opposite sex and avoid the dead person. The person must be alive. Okay. Once you manage to go through this, you go to the neutrality. Neutrality meaning to say that the newspaper deliverer, okay, maybe the domino pizza deliverer, the cashier in the Speed Smart, they are the neutrality. You try to bring forward the love from them from them, okay, I mean, from the close relative, you bring to the neutrality. Once you manage okay, to reach the neutrality, once you manage to bless them, now the last one is the enemy. You have to carry forward the happiness from the neutrality to the enemies. Once you can really bless the enemy, and in the real life, you will show your friendliness to the enemy, and your enemy can feel it. So finally, you will be it will appear that you don't have any enemy in the world for you. So that is the successful case of meditating in Metta Bhavana. Sally, do you get it? Clear, huh? Okay, huh? So meaning to say that, I think, Sally, I mean, in nature, huh, I noticed that you are the type of people inborn with the compassionate mind. You are the inborn compassionate people. Elena, do you agree? Do you agree? I think Sally is the inborn with the compassionate
No
people.
lah.
Yes. Okay, I think you don't have much enemy lah. Sally, can you count for me? Do you have enemy more than 3 people for your whole life, or you don't have any?
Enemy.
Ah,
Other.
you see or not? Oh, Elena, he can hardly have enemy. You see, you can hardly possess enemy. You see, so meaning to say that I think, Sally, it is Metta Bhavana not suitable to you, because you are already is the compassionate people. The more you practice Metta Bhavana, you might be imbalanced. You will become, you can become a good people without principle. I think you should be work harder in the 4 elements, meaning to say that go to see the negativity for the ultimate truth to balance your character. I worry that you are too kind to be unprincipled.
I will be too kind.
I don't know. I just maybe this is my comment. Okay. Yes, Elena, how do you agree with what I comment? What I comment to her? Elena, do you agree?
She's a very kind lady, but then behind her, she's also a tough one.
Maybe lah. So if the behind then you got a tough one, maybe to see character mix both lah. That's what I don't see, because sometimes we don't really work lah. We just have a dharma talk, then you all go back home. We can understand people. We can understand people better once we work together and stay together. Usually, okay. If let's say you got a hard, tough character, you can use Metta Bhavana to soften it lah. You can use it to soften it. Okay, next. Let's continue. That is the Metta Bhavana. So today, if you go to join the meditation retreat, the steps is as I stated just now. Okay, verses 74. Whose turns to read?
Me.
Okay,
The Buddha, to include all the afflictions, point to self-centered views, self-love, ignorance, and arrogance. Because of the attachment to I and mine, birth and death will always continue. The 3 types of afflictions described in the realm of desire, particularly the experience of human beings. For example, in the realm of form and formlessness, anger will not arise. To include all the afflictions of sentient beings, the Buddha had a separate 4-fold classification of afflictions into the self-centered views, love, arrogance, and ignorance. These 4 can be explained in different ways. In ancient times, the virtuous ones called these the 4 unregistered roots. They are not seriously evil, but they are still afflictions. They are called hidden and unregistered. Within minute afflictions were investigated, these 4 were discovered. These 4 afflictions are considered to be associated with the 7 consciousness, particularly in the Mahayana teaching of mere consciousness. Sages who have not realized the truth or cut off the afflictions always have these 4 afflictions, which is also called special characteristics of sentient beings' affliction. The 4 are ignorance with regard to the self, thinking there is a self when actually there is no such impermanent, unchanging, and independent self. 2. Self-centered view, the illusion of self and the firmly held belief in it. 3. Arrogance of self, insistence upon such self and erroneous feeling of self-importance. And 4. Self-love, arrogance of the self joined with love of this self. All the self-centered activities of the sentient beings develop from these internal special characteristics of afflictions.
Okay, thank you so much. We try to digest this sentence. Okay, now we are going through the different categorizations of the defilement in order to fully explain the exceptional, especially in the form and formlessness realm. Okay, for your informations, if you are in the form, you need to say the first jhana to fourth jhana and the formless realm, five defilement will not arise. Basically, the five nivarana, we call it anger, greedy, sloth and torpor, repent and remorse. Okay, and the last one is skepticism. They won't arise in the form and the formless realm. So how to explain the defilement? We have to go back to different categorization as just now we highlight the text. Okay, for example, okay, according here, there's a few things. There's a few defilements which is very subtle, or it's about the self. Okay, let's see first. The definition for I and self, I or my, meaning to say that you have the wrong perception that the I exists. Okay, once you think that the I exists, okay, there will be something you love. There will be something you arrogance to. There will be something you centralize to. So this is, the elements we can use to describe the sentient being in the form level and the formless level. And basically, Mahayana school is more, especially the mere consciousness school, able to explain this. Why? Because these four types of the cell, they are very subtle. We call it, which is unregistered and which is subconsciously exists in our mind. Basically, once we talk about the Mahayana school, I don't think it is common for us to know them. The reason is, once we go to the Mahayanese temple or organization, we used to chant rather than to study. Am I right? Okay, especially we talk about the mere consciousness, this type of the school of thinking. I mean, this type of teaching, find in the sutra for the chanting, but the sutra mostly for chanting purpose, but not for study purpose. So meaning to say that you can only study the Mahayana real text, the meaning maybe just in the like a Buddhist institution like us only. We will do this type of thing. So once we talk about the Mahayana mere consciousness school, meaning to say that this is the school established after Xuanzang has gone back to China, has gone back from India. Okay, he brought back a lot of original texts, and he noticed that there's one school mentioned that the mere consciousness, meaning to say that everything appears as you see, are originated from our mind. This is the experience from the deep meditation. It's not a simple theory only, including the body. According to this school, it mentioned that this body also is the creation from our mind. Our mind is the superpower. It creates everything wherever you see. Sally, do you agree? Do you agree? Does this sound scientific for you and logic for you, or objective to you? No comment. Never mind. Okay. Once the longer we meditate and we do the Dharma study, you will feel something. Because for them, once they meditate, they notice that it seems everything appears from the heart. Because once they meditate, they found that they are getting bigger and bigger, and the body is getting bigger and bigger and include everything. It happens to some meditator. So we believe that for the mere consciousness is a school originated from deep meditation, but not from the sutra study. Okay, so let's continue. So this is I and my. Let's check. For unregistered root. Okay. So you see, this is the keyword. Mahayana teaching on mere consciousness. All right. And then ignorance, self-centered, self-ignorance is self-love. Yeah, I do explain already. Okay. So for the next paragraph, okay. Yes, who's third? Elena, please.
In the Agama Sutra, another classification is frequently seen. Faults from afflictions are divided into two groups: faulty views or faults in human cognition, which can be corrected with true and firm understanding, and love or faults in human action, which can be corrected only with a firm and true understanding, frequent awareness, and continuous training in the behavior of daily living. Therefore, some people say, knowing is not difficult, doing is very difficult. The process of ordinary person becoming a sage, in which only part of the affliction are cut off, is described as a situation in which residual arrogance has not been completely extinguished. Arrogance is a minute sense of self-importance through which the self-centered activities are triggered. If all the afflictions are cut off, then one is liberated. In the case of arahats, residual habits, most minute bits of ignorance, are not completely purified. If one can eliminate this, then one truly completely pure. Ignorance is non-illumination. It's the universal characteristic of all afflictions. When classified according to this meaning, faults in knowledge are faulty views, faults in emotion are love, faults in volition are arrogance. All the afflictions fall within this trait. Every affliction has the function of triggering and nurturing karma, so it has the power of causing birth and death. But what are the most fundamental afflictions? The explanation of the Four Truths deals primarily with love, because it is the root of attachment which leads to suffering. Other sutras and discourses always say that ignorance is the root or that the view of I and mine is. An analogy, a blindfolded person. So as an analogy, a blindfolded person trapped in thick thorn bushes cannot get out even with much struggle. The blindfold is like ignorance. The barrier of the thorn bushes is like love. Thus the sutra says that the parents, i.e. causes of birth and death, are ignorance and love. But if one wants to get out of the trap of these thorn bushes, taking away the blindfold is most important.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's take a look. Now, according to the Agama, there's a different categorization. There is the 40 views and 40 in the human connections. You see, uh, one is the view, second is the human connection. So here the connection is related to our action. Okay, we have to correct both of it. In case of the ignorance, this is the more immediate sense of the self-importance, which is the self-centered activity are triggered. So we explained just now, okay. But for one case is Arahan. You say in the case of Arahan, the residue habit, the most immediate piece of ignorance has not been removed yet. The example is, I don't know whether have you ever heard about that. There was once the Mahakashapa, the one who is very great practice in exastic, all right. He listened to the music and played by the god of the music, and he start dancing, see. He start dancing, okay. So according to the sutra mentioned that Mahakashapa, even though has attained Arahat, but the habits cause him still dance. And there's no defilement in the dancing. It's just a habitual only. Second is regard as to the Shariputra. Okay, there was once that Shariputra strolling, okay, he got outside strolling and he saw the birds, okay. The birds got to fly over him and towards the Shakyamuni, and the pigeon and the bird and the pigeon stopped at the shadow of the Shakyamuni instead of the Shariputra. So this is the second instance that even though Shariputra have attained arahantship, okay, he is very pure, but the sense, the habitude of the anger, still a very little bit, it still remain in his shadow. The pigeon can feel it. The pigeon, the birds can feel it. Whereas in Shakyamuni, all the habits are 100% eradicated and eliminated. So we don't see any other, so in Shakyamuni, it is flawless, and we don't see any other habits within him. So that is the difference between the Buddha and the Arahant. Okay, now next, what we go is, okay, to be concluded, okay, what is the main causes? Okay, wherever there is an affliction, the affliction whether will trigger or will nurture our karma and causing birth and death. So, for example, okay, now there's in COVID-19 now, okay, or maybe some country, they start blaming other country, okay. So usually the blaming is caused from the anger element, especially the US. They are the one who keep on blaming China, blame many things, blame for non-transparency, blame from the source of the virus, whatever. But actually, the more the blaming you bury, I mean, the more you blame, all the karma will be buried inside in your subconscious, in the subconscious. And one day, this angry will nurture your defilement in the future. Maybe in the next time, or once you see China, any product from the China, you get angry again. So meaning to say that this is the anger element which buried inside your mind, and it nurture your future karma again. And the worst, it might be obstacle. It can be the cause for you to reincarnate in the three woeful state. For example, okay, maybe the moment you die, since the anger arises, and then the picture appears you're angry to somebody, you're just pinpointing. So this is the karma will bring you to the three woeful state. Possible become animal, a tiger or lion, which is very fearful. So this is the so-called the element, the affliction of the karma, effect of the karma. And lastly, in order to conclude, they said that love is the major cause for the reincarnation. Love, okay? And the ignorance, and if there's an analogy we try to apply, we will say that a blind people in a thorny, how to say, in a thorny what? Let me have it. A blind people in in a thick thorn bushes. Yes, a blind people in a thick thorn bushes. The thick thorn bushes, it's just like how to say, it's like our defilement. Okay, you are blind, you are ignorant. Okay, no, sorry. A blind people is the one. Is the one who is the the blind is the analogy. Is the analogy for the ignorance, and the busha and the thick thorny busha is the analogy for the love. Meaning to say that we are always blind and in the thick thorny bushes and cannot run away from it. So we keep on reincarnating everything. Okay, so I think that's the class for today. Okay, we have another 15 minutes. Maybe you please try to call Mr. Leong, Mrs. Leong. 4 of you, please have a group recap. Maybe Elena and Sally, please do the recap to them. Okay, please. Okay, it's not necessary to form the group. You just press the dialing in the WhatsApp. You can handpick Sally, Mr. Leong, and Mrs. Leong. So maybe Elena, you manage that. So 4 of you, the 4 of you can have a video conference at the same time. So just do the recap. Okay. Then 4:30, we start our meditation class. Okay. So let's try to transfer the merit.